Yay, it's worked. Well done, team. Well done, Rhea. We are live streaming, Sue.
Hello
So, hello
there.
and welcome, everybody. Today in the hot seat, we have the lovely Sue Pallett. Welcome, Sue. Hello.
Hi there. How are you, Dawn?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you. Looking forward to our chat. It's been so long since we
I
were
know.
last in each other's company. So let me
I
set the
know.
scene and then I'll introduce you properly. So for
Okay.
those of you who enjoy these 30-minute conversations, it's your guilty pleasure over a cup of tea or coffee, you're in for another one today. A little bit different as well because it's all about governance. So a lot of you will be thinking, oh, what's that governance? Well, Sue will explain more later. So maybe you've stumbled across this or you're looking forward to this call because you are looking to add coaching and or mentoring to your skill set and you wonder how do you go about it. Sue and I are ideally placed to answer those questions. Or maybe you're looking to work with a coach and or mentor and achieve those goals before the end of the year. And with them, before we know it, we're going to be setting New Year resolutions and starting all over again. And typically they're going to be the same as the ones we set last year and the year before, because without a coach, we just don't get them done. So a coach brings that all important accountability that will help you break down your goals into bite-sized chunks so you do achieve them. Maybe you're a coach or a mentor out there and you think, well, what is this accreditation stuff they keep going on about? We don't need it. I've never had it. I've been coaching for years, blah, blah, blah. Well, I guess it's a little bit like insurance. You don't know you need it till you need it. And I'm sure Sue will expand on that amply in a moment. You could be a training provider thinking, well, how is accreditation going to set me apart from all the other training providers delivered by universities, training academies, training the next generation of coaches? How is it going to help me attract more international paying students? And accreditation does that because it's one of the key differentiators the public are increasingly looking for in terms of a quality standard and having the support of an accreditation body in the event that something goes wrong. And again, it's not my area, but Sue and Charlotte, who we've already met earlier in the year, are ideally placed to give you more information on that. And there's plenty on our blog site that you can glean from about that as well. So that's who our audience is, Sue. So welcome to the hot seat. Every week I have a lovely guest and we just see where the conversation takes us. So if I can introduce you properly, Sue Pallett is an accredited practitioner coach, trainer and workplace mentor, an advanced workplace mentor. She lives in the beautiful island of Jersey. Love it there. And she is a yummy mummy of a little girl. I think she's probably about 10 or 11 now, isn't she?
Yeah, yeah, you have a good memory. She's just past 11.
Yeah, wow, like how time flies. And
I
you have your
know.
own coach support network group that you support, but your
Mm-hmm.
expertise comes from your corporate background in regulation, compliance, and governance in management and leadership roles. So you were the obvious person to join our management team and look after governance, combined with Charlotte, who's in well, we used to call it complaints, but we don't tend to get complaints, but
Yeah.
membership
Queries.
queries. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. So
yeah.
before we get into that, outside of work, what fills your heart with joy, Sue?
Oh, wow. So many things. That's such a lovely introduction. Thank you, Dawn. So my daughter obviously keeps me very busy with her interests in dancing and netball and all those great things, and just dropping and collecting from school. I have a beautiful little doggy who I adore, and we love walking together, although she's 12 now, so I wouldn't really call it walking. She's probably more ambling along, which suits me because actually it helps me to slow down and to
Yeah.
stop and to think and to look around me. So yeah, so for many reasons she's a little she's gosh, she's like my little therapy dog. And then other things like charity. I'm heavily involved in the charity sector in Jersey. I support a charity here called Beresford Street Kitchen, which helps people with learning disability and autism. And so I have recently joined their board. I've been invited to the board, and I'm helping them in lots of different areas, from fundraising to their corporate governance to their board management and effectiveness, and just kind of providing sort of a second level of a confidence for the staff really that are supporting the crew members. So I'm really that fills my heart every time I spend time with them, and I have actually volunteered on a weekly basis in their one of their cafes. So I love doing that,
Ah,
along with
love.
many other things, but that would probably take ages to go into. But I'm lucky enough to be able to do all the things that I enjoy doing. So
Yes.
the governance work with the IAPC&M, and my governance work and credit risk work with the regulatory environment in Jersey, and of course my coaching practice, training and mentoring people. I'm passionate about people developing
Mm,
themselves actually, so in lots of different ways.
yeah. Well, I've always known that you're incredibly busy, but you know what they say, give a busy woman a job to do and she'll always find time to do it. And that
Absolutely, I
makes up
agree.
most of our management team, busy women.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you mentioned volunteering. I can't remember somebody mentioning volunteering before, but I do remember when I first started work so I came to England when I was, I think, 18. And the first job I got was at Reed Employment. And at some point, Mr. Reed, who was very, very popular as a boss. I mean, I think he had 50 branches all around the country at the time. He basically said, I'm looking for people who volunteer. That's one of the key things I'm looking for on the CV, not so much the
Right.
qualifications, but if
Okay.
you're a volunteer, it says a lot about you in terms of your attitude, paying it forward, being of service. And it also reminds me of the lovely Eric Maisel, who's one of our honorary fellows, when he talks about we've got more than one purpose, and you've just summed that up beautifully. We have lots of purposes in life, don't we?
Yeah.
And volunteering
Yeah.
is just one of them.
Yeah, yeah, it's a fantastic way to give back. It's a fantastic way to meet people. It's a fantastic way to get to know others in what they do. And some of the network that I've created with volunteering, not only with the IAPC&M, but with the charity in Jersey, Beresford Street Kitchen, I meet people all the time that want to know more about things. And so you get an opportunity to share some of the knowledge that you have, and
Yeah.
obviously, every day is a school day, so you get to learn from other people as well.
Yeah, I love that. Every day's a school day. Well, I'm also volunteering in a kitchen. I
Oh,
volunteer. We've got a very small village that we live in, but we're lucky enough that even though there's only 400 houses, there's 22 different nationalities in,
oh my
uh,
Lord.
yeah, La Croisy-sur-Briance. And we have a fabulous cafe, for want of a better word. It's not that's not the dominant feature of the fact that we provide food, like a restaurant or cafe, but it's a cultural center of excellence for cross-cultural people. So
Wow.
I occasionally go in and I do vegetarian or vegan nights. So I do all the
Ah,
cooking. Sometimes I can be the only English person in there. There might be 60 French people in there, and I'm hoping that I'm learning French by reverse osmosis, but it's a slow old slog, I can tell you. But I love being in
oh,
the kitchen feeding other people.
yes. Yeah, absolutely. There's something wholesome about it. I don't know about you, but certainly in my childhood, we were taught to cook. So
Mhm.
cooking and eating and being around people. I mean, the kitchen table in Ireland, I'm Irish, has always been important. So being around the kitchen table, lots of activities going on around the kitchen table. In fact, my kitchen table is 174 years old. So
Ah,
I'm sure it can tell lots of stories. I'm a big recycler and I like, recycling things. So my kitchen table has only yesterday we had pumpkins on it.
yeah.
Tonight we'll have dinner on it. We might be drawing tomorrow night, who knows? But I love that feeding, community, coming together and sharing obviously your passion for vegan food because you're showing other people how to live that way as well and how to how to do it.
Exactly. Exactly. The children are playing games from the
Yeah.
games cupboard, and the parents are tasting something a little bit different. And most people don't even really realize they're eating vegan food. And I get children coming into the kitchen with a picture of a thank you that they've drawn, and I stick it on the fridge.
Um,
And
oh,
nearly always the parents will come in to say, that was amazing. Because it probably isn't the same for you, but certainly where I cook, they say, "Oh well, don't go mad on the garlic, don't go mad on the chili. French people don't have a very strong palate for
oh,
big flavors. Well, I do. I use a lot
yeah,
of garlic, a lot of chili, a lot of black pepper,
yeah,
all the sort of natural flavorings." And they come out, and I'm always sort of honing it back, and they come and say, that was really tasty. It was hot, but
tasty. Yeah,
I'm shocked how lovely it was, and I will
yeah,
come the next time you're cooking. So
yeah.
it's
So
not
you've
that they
woken
don't
their
like
taste
it; they
buds.
don't know it, I don't think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's like anything, isn't it? And we're a little bit afraid to try new things, but you're
Mm,
stopping yourself from trying, from a whole world of new experiences. If you in your mind say, "Oh, I don't think I like spicy food or I don't like tasty food," everybody likes tasty food, and it's just like anything
exactly.
in life.
Yeah. And I like to zhuzh it up as well. So we have Italian night, we have Chinese night, we have Indian night. So that is also of great interest. And there's lots of lovely volunteers. So we have Alex, the Polish lady who did Polish dumplings,
Oh,
and
they're
we have a
amazing. Yeah.
Lebanese, but lots of different people come and they do their local food. So yeah, that's
Oh, sounds
my
great.
guilty pleasure, really. It's
Oh, I
hard
really
work,
like
but
that.
yeah, it's good fun.
As they
So
say, hard work is not bad work, is it?
no, no. And if you do the work you love, well, is it really work?
It's not. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Take that work word away. It's all the
Yeah,
things that you really like, your hobbies.
yeah. I
And if you
like
get paid
chopping
for it, even
vegetables.
better.
Yeah, I like chopping vegetables. I like washing dishes. There's something very mindful about it.
Well, it's funny, recently we did with this charity, we had an event here that happens every year called the Dragon Boat Racing. And pretty much the whole island get involved. We have a huge financial institute array in Jersey of financial institutes. And so they all, get involved and you get sponsorship and it's a great day out down at the harbour. And I volunteered to make the speeches this year. And so there was eight of us in the kitchen from 6 in the morning. I've forgotten how I love to make sandwiches and just the camaraderie, the chit chat. We were talking about all sorts of things and making all this lovely food. So yeah, I think it was, yeah, it's amazing the skills that you forget that you like until you do
Mm,
them again. So yeah, I love that. Chopping veg is great. Yeah.
mm.
And slicing, getting things right, I think, is always a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm always interested when I have these conversations. How does the language that we use in things that we're passionate about, like volunteering, like cooking, translate into our coaching practice? So, for instance, if somebody's, and we've all got superpowers, it's amazing.
Yeah,
When I talk to people and I think, yes, this person's a coach. Oh no, they're a drummer in the band, or they're a
yeah,
trumpet player at the Royal Albert Hall, or they're a
yeah,
photographer or whatever. So, and then when I know that, I can hear the language of
yeah.
being a photographer or a musician or whatever coming into their coaching. Very,
That's so
very interesting.
interesting. Yeah, yeah, really interesting. I think when you're passionate about things, you naturally get excited, your whole body changes, your breath is different, your eyes, and how you connect with people. I think it's fascinating the sort of physiology around the stuff that you like to do. I think as coaches, we work with people, I certainly do, where they're fatigued from what they do, their work, they're maybe not getting that joy from it. And so
Yeah,
coaching helps them to recenter and to revisit why they first chose that path sometimes. And
yeah,
actually it's about falling in love again, isn't it? You choose a path, you train for it, you go knee deep into it for many years, and then all of a sudden you seem to fall out of love with it. It's actually about rekindling that spirit around and reminding people by open questions that you can, they can reconnect back to the thing that they loved so much.
Yeah. I mean, Tony Robbins talks about that. He talks about you can fall out of love with your partner, but if you could
Yeah,
fall in love with them once, you can train yourself to do it again.
I
Um,
totally believe it. Yeah, yeah.
mm,
Take away all the other stuff, because that's what happens, is it's almost like having a basket of stuff, and you
yeah.
put all the stuff in the basket, and actually life happens, but we have to become people that we may not want to become because of the external influences. And so I think it's about sifting through the basket and saying, actually, I'm going to put that there, that's going there, and then I can see more clearly as well, because we get quite cluttered, don't we, in our
We do.
mind, our mindset, and with life happening around us.
We do. And your passion has always been governance, regulations, standards. That seems to quite light your fire, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. I know people might think that's very odd, but I'm changing the world of compliance one report at a time. So when I started in finance nearly 30 years ago, compliance people were people who lived sort of in, dark rooms at the top of the office, and nobody really interacted with them, and they didn't really say yes to anything. So now it's about understanding. For me, I need to understand the why we're doing things, what is it for, what's the benefit, who will it benefit? There's lots of questions. I've always been a questioner. My mum said that I always, lots and lots of questions. But as children learn, we maybe are missing a trick as adults, that we don't ask enough questions so that we understand why things are happening. So governance and risk and compliance came from that sort of curiosity, I'll call it. And so, yeah, and it's continued on. I like law and order. I like things in the right place. I like a good checklist. And when I say a good checklist, I like it to be something that people can work with. So just like when you set up your own practice, or you're trying to put forms in place or contracts, it has to make sense to you. There's no point in putting things in place that you don't understand why you're doing it. But I do like the idea of developing yourself professionally so that you can, you know, um, you can deal with challenges as they come along. But I think once you have your governance in place and you're doing the right thing, I mean, ethical coaching, ethical practices, I think if you know you're doing the right thing, you won't go much wrong, if that makes sense. I
Yes, you
think
can
if you're,
relax a little bit, can't you? Because that's one of
yeah,
the biggest fears new coaches have. When
yeah,
I was head of mentoring was, oh, what if I cross the boundaries into therapy? Well, are you a therapist? No. Well, don't worry about it. You're not going
yeah,
to. Um,
yeah,
and it's just about giving them permission to relax into themselves, their coaching and their contract. Contracting is key.
yeah.
And then, as you say, you can't go far wrong.
Absolutely. And keep it simple. That's one of the things that I say to people. People think they need like reams of contracts, pages of codes, it needs to be very simple and to the point. So don't get caught up in all these available reams of contractual uh evidence, and it's kind of like saying, well, you can have a one-page contract and it can say everything that you want in it, as opposed to having a 40-page contract that doesn't actually quite get it. You hit the nail on the head. So I do think be logical, and I think apply a certain amount of why am I doing this? What is it for? What's the purpose of it? What am I trying to achieve?
Mm.
And I think when you protect yourself in that way, it shows your clients that you are ethical, that you are practicing in an ethical way, and that you really are passionate about providing a good service to people.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, so I'm thinking if somebody's listening to this as a coach who's not accredited and doesn't believe in accreditation or doesn't believe in the need for accreditation because they're doing fine as they are, which I hear all the time. I've been coaching for 20 years. Why do I need accreditation? What would you say to somebody listening to this about why they should align themselves to a community or an accreditation body? And what does governance bring them and their clients?
So I think, first and foremost, I think for me, it's the belief that you know that you are doing it in a way. You may be doing it for a long time, but like any one of us who may have learned to drive 30, 40 years ago, are we doing it correct? We've
Oh,
all
that's a good
picked up
example.
bad habits. And so I think, having your accreditation, I think for me personally, it gave me a qualification that I'm very proud of because it tells me that I am good at what I do and that I am diligent in what I do and that I am getting it right because the job that we hold as a coach is so important. We're dealing with people. We're dealing with people in real life situations. And I feel from a client expectation perspective, we need to show that we are serious about the service that we provide. That goes hand in hand with trust. I think, trust is a huge, huge part of what we do. And, on the back side of that, it's that credibility piece. People will come to you because you are accredited and that,
Mm.
that means something. The work that goes into your accreditation. When I gained it through the IAPC&M 4 years ago, I was, I was nervous about gaining it because I wanted to make sure that I was getting it right. And the actual process was fantastic. I felt comfortable. I felt a trust between David was the gentleman who gave me my accreditation examination. And so I really felt I was in good hands. I was in safe hands. And I think, when you become credited, you feel a little bit like a peacock.
Mhm.
You've got that feeling of, well, I have this additional quality assurance, stamp of quality assurance, and it provides more opportunities. You establish yourself in a professional environment. And I think, having that accreditation is something that kind of the icing on the cake, I feel. And anybody that I've spoken to over the years, as you mentioned earlier, I run a coaching community here in Jersey. Everybody's striving to get to the accreditation place because then it gives you that little bit of, oh, it's the ah moment. I am good at what I do. We all do positive affirmations, but this gives you a certificate that says actually you are what you say you are. And that's really important to our clients.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I also think it's the cherry on the cake, and it just is another valuable piece of your professional evidence portfolio that you are a best-in-class practitioner.
Yes.
Particularly since COVID, there are thousands. I mean, I was speaking to a lady today who's breaking through in the States, and she said, "Oh, everybody is calling themselves a coach," uh, and that's
Yeah.
not to say that they can't coach, but how do we know that they've got their clients' best welfare? After all, as you say, we're dealing with people's minds, and there's lots of great training out there. But you can get a diploma on Facebook for $7 over a weekend. Does that make you a coach on
Yeah.
Monday morning? I don't think it does. Um, what I think accreditation brings to the table is the fact that they are assessing your experience as well as your training. They're assessing, excuse me, that you've served your apprenticeship, that you've dealt with lots of different, increasingly sophisticated and complex client scenarios.
Yes.
And it takes time.
Yeah.
So that's why we have a minimum of 60 practical coaching hours before you can
Yeah.
apply for your accreditation, so that you've got that experience of working with family, friends, pro bono, study buddy, peers, colleagues, etc. What about
Yeah.
the what about us as the organization? So you wanted to do the role of compliance. What do you bring to the accreditation body that was lacking before, that now sets us apart maybe from some other accreditation bodies, I wonder, if anything?
That's a really good question. I think probably the expertise in the field of being compliant,
Mm.
the governance piece and the risk around that, we can address some of the queries that are coming through to us because actually having that knowledge from a worldwide perspective, obviously I'm not in the UK, I'm in offshore, but we also deal internationally. So me being here in Jersey and being part of the community of the IAPC&M means that I bring a whole different slant from a European perspective, perhaps, or a worldwide international perspective. In my professional career, I've come across quite a lot of tricky situations. I've been involved in litigious cases for clients where I was dealing with them from a finance perspective. And so I think gathering all that information together and bringing it to the IAPC&M for people to be able to gain that knowledge, I think is definitely an advantage for us as a business and as an excellence center.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way, but yes, you're absolutely right. And in terms of the end user, what are you seeing, you and Charlotte, that their queries are coming up with? Because I know we've had some and we said, oh, well, actually, the coach that you're complaining about isn't a member of the IAPC&M, or the training provider that you're complaining about isn't accredited by the IAPC&M, or it's a different field. I think the last one was NLP, and it's not coaching or mentoring. But what are you typically seeing, and how can you help these people?
What we're seeing is a lack of clarity. So the coach or the mentor or the practitioner is not being clear about what they offer. And so when they initially enter into a relationship with a coachee or a mentee, then it's not quite clear what each party is supposed to bring. So again, going back to my governance and compliance and role, it's about getting that contract initially right, having that initial discovery call where you're saying, this is what I want from the client perspective, and you as the coach saying, well, this is what I can provide, this is who I am, this is what I can do, and then having that clarity within the contract that then you both sign up to. Boundary setting being part of that, and just general sort of people are very quick to say, oh, that sounds amazing, I'll just go for it. They pay the money and then they're disappointed. So in terms of doing your research as a customer or as a business, you need to ensure that your offering and what you're buying is clear. You know, when we go to the supermarket, we'll look at the instructions of something. We might look at the back of a packet to make sure what's in there. It's the same with your relationship. You need to know what you're going to be getting, how it's going to be delivered, who's responsible for what, and that, you know, follow up and feedback is really, really important as well. So I think clarity is the big one for me. And a lot of these challenges that come to us, I think perhaps if they had been more clear from the outset, we may not have found themselves in the tricky position that they are in.
So David is right. Contracting is everything.
Yes. Yes, David is right about lots of things.
Yeah, it all comes back to contracting. Okay.
I think, you know, when you're buying any service, you want to know that there is backup. What's the guarantee? You know?
Yeah. I am always banging on about do your due diligence in exactly the same way when you're buying a second-hand car or a lawyer or whatever the service
Any
is.
service.
But people assume, Sue, that's the problem. People assume that all coaches are part of a national register, that they're accredited by an independent third party, that they're insured, etc. But
yeah,
I would say there's probably only 1% of the profession that meets those
and also,
criteria.
and you're right. And I think, you know, we're spearheading. You know, we as an organization are saying to people, we don't want you to be accredited and qualified because we want you to be. We want you to be accredited and qualified for you, so that you get more clients, that you get credibility in the industry, that you are trustworthy, that you are, you know, you get more opportunities. You know, you wouldn't go to an electrician without knowing that he's electrically qualified to do your electrics. You would maybe burn your house down. It's the same kind of concept when it comes to, you know, physical interaction. You know, if you go and you sign up for a gym, you'll sign a membership. You will sign up and you'll adhere to their rules. This is, you know, down to people to take accountability as well, to ask the right questions of the people that they're going to be entrusting all their, you know, secrets to as well. So I think it's hugely important that the contract is very, very clean, clear, and simple.
Mm. And that's why for the newbies, we have a couple of sample templates in the secure members
Yeah.
area. Because you get your
Yes.
certificate on Friday night, potentially with a distinction, you know, you're part of the next generation of great coaches, but on Monday morning, how do you set up your business? But increasingly, I am seeing training providers take on the role of offering some business support so that
Yeah.
coaches do know what to do on Monday morning, how to
Yeah.
set up their business. But we're a sort of a catch-all with the secure members area and thousands of pounds worth of resources for anybody who
Yes.
needs templates and personal and professional support. It's all included in the accreditation. So, I mean, you and I are
Absolutely.
passionate about accreditation. We could bang on about it all day.
Yes.
Uh, so I reiterate that for anybody out there who is coaching and thinking, I don't need it, well, you know, there's going to come a time where you probably do need it. Certainly, if you're going to go into bidding situations in the education sector, any of the
Yeah.
public sectors, they're now saying
Yeah.
membership isn't enough. So it's a tick box exercise. Are you accredited? If you're not, there's no further place to go on that bid. You're out.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
and again, like insurance, it's something you don't need until you need it.
Until, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think don't be afraid of the process. The process is great. It's there to serve you. People who do it are, you know, fantastically qualified, and they know, you know, they know what they're doing. They know how this means to turn up and, you know, be tested. You know, nobody wants to mark their own homework, so get somebody else to do it. And so
Yeah.
then you'll understand, you'll get positive and some, you know, feedback that might help you to, you know, improve some of your skill set. And that's always good. We don't call it constructive feedback anymore. We call it, or constructive criticism. It's called constructive feedback, so that, you know, it helps you to be a better coach. And if you are passionate about the coaching industry or being a mentor, you will want to be that the best you can be.
Do you know, Sue, that's exactly the way I feel. If you want to make this and contribute to our profession, help make it a professional profession,
Yeah,
uh, why wouldn't you be accredited and properly trained and insured and have a contract and be upfront and transparent and ethical about everything in the
absolutely.
same way that other talking therapy industries are?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm. I'm conscious of the time, Sue. I know I've got to let
Yeah.
you go. It's probably the school run. You've got to go
Yes,
and pick up your
indeed.
little one. So thank you as always for your time. We must get together again over a cuppa
Yes,
and sort out some empirical evidence and white papers and
absolutely.
things for our
Yes,
clients. Uh,
absolutely.
so I will see you again, and thank you very much. I was just checking
No,
my phone
thank
to see if
you.
we had any questions, but we didn't. But we might do later. So, Sue, how can people contact you other than the IAPC&M directory? If they like what they hear and they want to work with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
So they can get in touch with me via LinkedIn or Facebook. The Coaching Agency is the name of my business. Also via just my name, Sue Pallow. But if you want to contact me directly by email, it's thecoachingagency@mail.com. And I would be delighted to talk to anybody about any of these challenges that they might be having, and look forward to working together.
Lovely. Great.
Thanks so
Thank you very
much,
much.
Dawn.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Nice to
Thank you,
see
Sue.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.